Yeah, thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on. We really appreciate it. So to everybody who hasn't seen our series, this is a spotlight series. This is number 2, and this is to focus on future NFL draft prospects that have declared for this year. And so, yeah, we have Victor Talley out of Valdosta State. He's a wide receiver. Victor, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, from Cleveland, Ohio. Ended up going to prep school, out of high school in North Carolina at Gyre Prep. After that, I went to Tiffin University. Started there for 2 years as a freshman. My coach left, so then, new coaches come in. So I just decided to hit the transfer portal, see what it was, looking like. Decided to go that route. Ended up at Slippery Rock University. Played there in the first game. Started, shattered my hand on a catch.
Oh.
Which is like just a crazy freak accident that just happened. Just had surgery on that. Then I graduated and COVID happened. So I decided to transfer to Valdosta State in South Georgia with my old head coach just to come down here and play the game of football, finish out my last 2 years, and get my master's also.
Okay. Also, before we get started with the rest of the questions I have for you, so is this correct? Are you the nephew of Bills legend Darryl Talley? Is this correct?
Yes, that is correct. I'm Darryl Victor Talley II. That's my uncle.
Okay, so listen, we're here in Niagara Falls, New York. Victor Talley, or you're Victor Talley. Darryl Talley is a huge deal over here, man. Like everybody just like he's a part of that '90s team that went to the 4 Super Bowls. It's basically like anybody who was a big part of that team, and if you started on that team, it was just yeah. And plus, like with Victor, I remember when my dad I keep saying Victor, you're Victor, Darryl.
You're fine.
Yeah. My dad used to tell me your uncle used to wear these Spider-Man pajama under like sleeves, or it was like a suit.
It was a ski suit that just happened to have like ripples and lines in it that was like Spider-Man. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. He showed me because he has like all these tapes in his basement of like all the games from the '90s, and like you just see your uncle just going around there making plays, and he has this little Spider-Man. It's like a Spider-Man Under Armour, basically. That's what I see from my point of view. But yeah, Darryl is just a big part of this community, and like it has such a big impact on this Buffalo Bills, fan base and Bills Mafia in general.
Yeah, I mean it's something special to have that in your family because also like my dad also played in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So then you got both of them. I already know the atmosphere going to Buffalo. I went to Buffalo Bills games as a kid, just growing up, just being able to go and experience that atmosphere, and like Bills Mafia is just something that you'll never forget once you experience it.
Right. So growing up in that kind of like with your dad and your uncle, I mean, that has to be like a crazy kind of like a crazy experience, like a crazy like kind of like I'm not gonna say like a ceiling, but I mean I guess you could say that like kind of like a bar. Like what would it mean to you to carry on the tradition that like your uncle and dad have made by becoming an NFL player?
It would mean the world to me, honestly, just because growing up, knowing that those two made it to the NFL, out the same household. Normally, you'll have like a cousin or like a distant cousin in a family, like a close family member. But just to have those two that are right here in your immediate family is just something that is just very inspiring and just something that I want to achieve in life.
Yeah, of course. So let's get on to the rest of our questions. Let's see. Can you pinpoint the moment you first wanted to play football at the next level?
Literally, when I just started playing, when I was playing flag football, when I was like 4 years old, it just felt right. Like that I knew that was my goal in life, just to make it to, if it wasn't the pros, to at least make it to the collegiate level and playing at a university and making a statement and leaving my name in history in a way. That's what I've always wanted to do. Like when I was little, I used to tell people I wanted to skip high school, just go to college and then go to the pros. So that was just something that I always felt deep within.
Right. If you could describe yourself as a player in 1 or 2 words, what would it be?
I would say dependable and consistent.
Okay.
Just because consistency, I mean, literally like 100% of the time, I'm going to come down with the ball when it comes my way, regardless of, the effects that might happen in the backfield. Just knowing that the quarterback gives me a 50-50 shot, that's more like a 90-10 in my eyes. And then dependability, like you can go back and look at the stats and stuff because they speak for themselves. Once we hit like third and long, third and short, or second and long, to get a big chunky yardage back, they were coming my way with the ball. So that's what I think also shows.
Right. So you said you went to Tiffin, you went to Slippery Rock, and then you went to Valdosta State, correct? Or am I missing another school, or is it just those three?
Those three for college. I went to prep school out of high school.
Right, right. So comparing those three schools, because all three of those are Division II, correct?
Correct.
How would you compare the three schools and like the conferences, some of like the people and the teams in general and that you have faced? How would you compare like playing at those three different schools? Like, is there certain like traditions, or is the level of play more intense? Like, can you describe describe the comparisons between the three?
Up north, I give it more like Big Ten feel if you would compare it to like Power Five schools for Division One. So PSAC, like with Slippery Rock, those were more like your bigger guys, ground and pound type deals. And then when you come down south, it's like SEC and like ACC mixture where they're gonna throw the ball around a lot more, and it's more of a speed game. So like their speed is gonna, match up a little bit different towards the size that up north players might have. That's the way that I took it.
Okay, okay. So yeah, you also played at Slippery Rock. Our first Spotlight Series guest that we had him on Wednesday, and he played for Clarion. I don't know if you know the name, but have you ever played or heard of a guy named Terrell Ford by chance? He was a receiver and a return specialist.
No, I haven't heard him. I was only there for right before COVID, so we could have just crossed paths once or twice, but I didn't even play in that full season. But that's a big rivalry between Rock and Clarion.
Yeah. Because he went there. I believe he was in the PSAC because he went there and he went to Seton Hill.
Seton Hill.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we went to both schools, and so we asked him Wednesday if he knew who you are, and he was like, "No, I don't really know him, but I mean, if you guys were in the same. I'm pretty sure you guys played technically the same. Like you were on Slippery Rock's roster, and he was playing, but yeah, I just wanted to know if you guys knew each other by chance.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite moment or play from your college career?
Favorite moment was playing in the D2 national championship. I mean, not many people can say that they've been to a national championship at any level. So just getting that experience, the outcome wasn't what we wanted it, but to be able to get that atmosphere, that level of play is just a big accomplishment in life.
Right. What offensive scheme do you best thrive in and why? Out of those,
the air raid. The air raid offense. Yeah, it started with rest in peace, was it Coach Leach that just passed away?
Oh, Mississippi State?
Yeah, he was actually a coach at Valdosta State, and he started the air raid here.
Oh.
So that's where the air raid offense originates from.
Wow.
So that's why I think this is my best scheme that I fit into, because I'm not really a true tight end, and I'm not outside like speed wide receiver. So I'm like a hybrid. So you get like the best of both worlds, where I get the mismatch on the linebackers and the safeties, because a linebacker might have size, but he's not going to have the speed or the height to stay with me. And then safeties, they're just going to be skinnier, sometimes lengthier guys, but they don't have that size to, the weight distribution to match up with me.
Right. And when I was making the little preview for this episode, I was going through your film that you posted on YouTube, and the first play that it wasn't the first play in order. I kind of pieced it differently than what you had it. But one play that stuck out to me was the play, it was the first play I put. You were literally running, I'm pretty sure you're lined up maybe in the slot. I don't know if it was the tight end slot or like a wide receiver slot, and you just see you're running a vertical route just right down the middle, And I showed it to Nico, my other co-host, and I'm like, how does this look? How do this editing skills look? And he's like, dude, I didn't even know like he was the receiver. Like he was like that wide open. Like
Yeah.
I
I
couldn't
think
make out
you
what
had to
team
play
it was.
against. I think you had to play against. I want to say West Alabama, where I
Okay.
had a slant and go, and I just like they game plan, we game plan, and one thing I run is a great post route, right behind the backers in front of the safeties.
Hmm.
So we had knew that week that they were going to game plan. Like once he sticks his foot in the ground, the safety's going to come up. And that's why we just ran just a post and go, just something simple, just to switch it up. And even the players on the other team, they were like, "We didn't know you guys had a Keenan Allen in the slot. Like, since when do you run routes like this?" And I was like, "I'm a wide receiver. I'm just bigger, like as a wide receiver than everybody else. Sitting at 6'4", 210 pounds, start the season at 215. That's just not something that you see moving like that."
Yeah, I mean, because when I played football, I played on defense. I was a defensive end, but I mean, from a defensive standpoint, I mean, if you were to see a guy lined up as yourself, and you're a defensive back, and I see a big guy like you running a crisp and hard route like that and moving as fast as that, like I don't even know how I could plan against that. Really, I mean, it's hard to plan against.
That's what I was talking about, the mismatch. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. And that's shout out to my old head coach, Coach Golf, before Coach Jackson came in. I mean, because Coach Jackson said he had watched me on film. He's like, this guy moves just different. And Coach Golf, he told me when I came to Tiffin, he was like, we're going to put you in the slot. Have you ever played? And I was like, no. He's like, don't worry. You'll figure it out. It's going to be bread and butter for you. And it just took off from there.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of, I mean, OJ Howard. I mean, he played mostly tight end, but you've seen him in college. I'm pretty sure he went to Ohio State. They played him out wide too a little bit, or like a Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I mean, big guys like that, being that nimble and having, that like flexibility between wide receiver and tight end. I mean, it's just, as I said, very hard to mismatch, very hard to plan against.
Yeah, I think that's where like Travis Kelce also, like these guys, they're blocking, but like they're just wide receiver. They're bigger wide receivers. That's it. Because these guys, you're splitting out and letting them be the X receiver on the single receiver side and just letting them do work, and it's just crazy.
Right. And so that being said, is there an NFL player you try to model your game off of? A specific one?
Actually, growing up, it was Calvin Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, those are two
Just
greats right there.
Because Calvin Johnson, with his size and his speed and the stuff that he was able to do on the field, was just outstanding. With his hands, also, he was a very dependable guy, consistent guy. And Larry Fitzgerald, I was watching, a little story on him talking about how it was hard for him to get the ball from his NFL quarterbacks because they didn't think he was open, because, just a half a step in front of somebody, they might think that you're covered.
Mm-hmm.
And, it took a while for the quarterbacks to understand that once you throw it out there, he's going to make that play. And I just felt that, that's a misunderstanding that I have with like my speed. It's like deceptive because when I'm side by side with somebody, if you give me a shot, like you throw it out there, I'm going to go out there and get that ball regardless.
Yeah. And that's what Larry was. Is you never saw him wide open really, but you saw him, they would play press against him and he would be real tight with the DB, but he would somehow make the catch. Like I really don't think I've ever seen him drop a ball. Like as long as I've watched him play.
And he taught himself how to be ambidextrous. Like, I mean, how many people really take the time to be consistent with both hands?
Yeah, that's Hall of Fame mentality right there, man.
Yeah. So those are my two inspirations really growing up. That's who it's been all along.
Gotcha. What made you pick number 13, or is that just like a number that was given to you?
13 was just given to me when I came down here to Valdosta State. I mean, I wore 8 at Slippery Rock and Tiffin, but I don't think the number makes the player. I think the player makes the number. So I don't really think, a lot of guys like, oh, I need this number. I had to have this number. I was like, you know what? 13 is my number. I'm going to make sure that everybody remembers number 13 when he steps out on the field.
That's respect. That's respect. I mean, from what I've seen from a lot of players, it's just there are a lot of selfish players out there, and it's like, if a player doesn't get, like, I remember in high school ball. I mean, I remember players, if they didn't get the jersey that they wanted, like, they would throw a fit. And I mean, and at that point, I mean, what does it matter? You should be out there playing football, giving it to your all. This should be like your passion, and as that's how you are.
Yeah, facts. I mean, there's still kids at the college level that get mad, when they don't have the single digits or they don't have the number that they want. But it's like, just go out there and play. Like, you tie your cleats up tight, got your pads on, chin strap tight. Like, let's go play.
Yeah, because I got recruited to Buffalo State College, D3 in Buffalo, and I remember for training camp they gave me number 98, and I was like, well, I never wore a number in the 90s. We didn't have 90s at Niagara Falls High School for football, and that's where I went to high school. But when I got 98, I was like, man, I don't really care. As long as I get PT or I, somehow get on the field, I'm somewhat of a factor. I mean, I'll wear 98 to the best of my ability. So
that I completely understand. When I went to Tiffin my first year as a freshman, I wore an 87, which I was like, I've never had on an 80s number before.
Yeah.
And that's what my dad had wore with the Browns. And they gave me a shut helmet that was, it seemed like it was from like 1980, like thicker face mask, like big open. And like one of the coaches, he was like, you're not going to play this year. Like, just deal with the gear that you have. And I was like, yeah, okay. I went out there. And then I ended up starting as a freshman, like a few games in, and they were like other teams were clowning me because of how I looked. I was like, hey, I'm out here playing as a freshman. You might have got a red shirt your freshman year. I'm making it happen.
Right, yeah. I mean, yeah, we didn't even have like the Rebel Speeds. I remember in like high school, and I think a couple my first year ever playing high school ball, we had one of those, like they call it the butt crack helmet. And it's like the one that has like the line right down the middle, and everybody stayed away from that helmet. But yeah,
that's funny. Literally in Little League, though, I used to want the bar. I used to tell my dad I couldn't play unless I had the bar when I was in Little League, and then I had to learn that that's not the look anymore. That was the look of back in the 70s.
Yeah, it is not. It is not. Who would you say is your biggest inspiration off of the football field?
Probably my grandfather who passed away just this past June. I mean, he never had a bad day. You never really saw him down. He was a person that could make friends anywhere. And when I say anywhere, it didn't matter where he was going to make a friend. Somehow, some way, he was going to start up a conversation with you and just leave an impact on somebody's life. So I just feel like that's a big inspiration to me. If I could find a way to leave an impact on somebody's life one way or another, I think that could be a big thing in life.
All right, yeah. That's a good way to look at life, man. That is a very good way to look at life. If you could be proficient in one area outside of football, what would it be and why?
I think public speaking, like motivational speaking wise, because I have a different come up background versus like other people. Because sometimes you hear the people who made it out the hood and had this rough upbringing, but like sometimes you can hear the other side of like a kid who might have grown up in the suburbs. School might have been difficult to start out, and had to go through prep school, which is kind of like JUCO, and like building a name for yourself. I think that can really inspire the youth in a way.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that the youth is the next part of generations to come. If you can impact them, then you can impact the world.
Yeah, because if you don't have a good inspiration on like the youth, and I see it all over Twitter and social media, it's just I feel like a lot of people are saying that who are teaching these kids like basic life values, because you'll see a lot of like videos of them fighting and like on the school bus and stuff like that, and it's just you really and I help out with Niagara Falls football varsity because my dad is a defensive line coach for them, and so when I'm there, I really try to preach try to find a role model, and try to find a really positive role model, and kind of shape your life, or even like on the football field shape your play if it's like a football role model, after that, and it can make a difference. But yeah, there is some negativity out in the world, and if you can find that good role model, or if you can inspire somebody that is obviously younger, then it can make such a huge difference, as you said.
Right, because I'm sure you had it growing up. You see that you're in the little kids camp. You got like these high school players coming to teach you drills, and you're just like, wow, like one day I'm gonna be like them. That's something big, because not everybody has that family oriented deal at home that can inspire them. They have to find it elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Can you give any advice to football players coming out of high school that want to play at the collegiate level?
Uh, Times get rough. I mean, you got to stick it out. Trust, like everybody says, trust the process, but really trust and believe in the process. Because right now, with the portal and how it's impacting teams, like a coach he'll sign you on a scholarship, but he can go in the portal and grab a guy that's already played, 2 years and bring him in. Then you might get set back, a spot. You might go from starting to backup, but like you just got to keep working and continue to grind in order to get that spot back, or just to play at that next level, because it's not for everybody. I mean, a lot of people think that, we're just football players and, we don't really go to school, but no matter what level, education is important. And if you have the grades, you can go wherever you want.
Right. And so for you coming out of prep school, like, can you
Mhm.
walk me through like the recruitment process to the collegiate level for you?
Well, for me, that's why I said my story is a little different. High school wasn't strong suit for me. I graduated with a 1.6, which is not good at all. You can't get into any school with that. So I went to prep school, got my grades up. My football team also ran the triple option in high school. So as a receiver, you're not going to have much film on that either.
Yeah.
So once I went to prep school, I was able to get my GPA up to 2.0. And so they gave me the classifications to play at the D2 level. I couldn't quite get to D1 with the ACT and SAT. So out of that aspect, I had about 5 schools coming out of prep school. And you do your own recruiting. You're emailing your film, mid-year film, end of season film, any practice film. You're emailing that to coaches, and you're getting your name out there. So you're really your own recruiting coordinator.
Yeah.
And so that way I was able to get in contact with Coach Golf at Tiffany University and get an opportunity there. And I think that was my best shot of having a chance to play and make a name for myself.
Yeah. So we talked about like the collegiate level for football. Let's talk about like college in general. Do you have any, fond memories of anything throughout college? And just kind of like highlight some like the top moments. It doesn't have to be football. It could be football, but it could be anything, ranging from like a party or like some kind of event. But yeah, just touch on that.
My big thing was actually having good grades, because like I said, coming out of high school with a 1.6, that's not too impressive at all. And to graduate with a bachelor's, and I think I finished with like a 3.3, and now to move on to finishing my master's at the end of this spring, that was huge for me. And then also the friendships and bonds. Like, who would have thought? Like, I got one of my best friends is from Oregon.
Yeah.
Where would I thought that I was going to meet a kid from Oregon? And he starts coming home with me for Thanksgiving, because his family is way out there, and we're laughing, talking, and he gets to know my family. I get to know his family. And now I'm about to be his best man in his wedding. Like, that's just something that you don't just walk upon every day.
Yeah, and that's somebody from across the country too. That's Oregon. That's all the way on the West Coast.
Right. And that was just a huge moment. Just the friendships that I made, because going from Tiffin to Slippery Rock to Valdosta, that's 3 schools. But looking at the friendship wise and networking, I made a lot of friends, and I call them family as also, that I can call on at any moment if I need anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm traveling, I can call somebody in California that I play with at Tiffin University. If I'm traveling, to say New York, I know somebody from Slippery Rock that has family in New York. Just that networking aspect, that you can all look out for one another. And then my big moment for me was this past season, I was able to block a punt in game
Hmm.
for football wise, and my dream was to block a punt. Oh, I've always wanted to just block a punt. My dad was like, "You'll never block a punt. You're a hold up type of guy. You're gonna block to give space for the punt returner." And when my coach told me, like he came in, he was like, "Victor, we're gonna give you a shot to block the punt." I had to capitalize on that, and that was just the best feeling ever.
Yeah, I mean the adrenaline. I mean, playing punt block is just like if you're able to get through the line of scrimmage and you're running free to the punter like that, your adrenaline is just each second is just like you're not even like thinking. It's just like it just happens.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, I could only imagine, man. Um, Give me your 30-second elevator pitch to potential NFL teams.
So I would let them know that you're getting a versatile player who's willing to do any and everything to help the team win, whether that be on special teams, kickoff return, punt return, because those are big aspects on the field, and also at wide receiver and tight end. I mean, I'm not a selfish individual. I just feel that if you want me to play tight end, I'll put my hand in the dirt and I'll get down and dirty with the D line, but also if you space me out wide, I can make some stuff happen on DBs and safeties.
All
So I
right.
think that's why you should draft me.
Okay. Okay. And then one more question. Can you describe the process of being in the like transfer portal? I mean, you went from Tiffin to Slippery Rock to Valdosta State. You just elaborate on the process to our viewers who aren't really too um, educated or like have the knowledge on the portal.
So the portal is it's a really like it's a good situation, but then it's not because you can get lost in the portal.
Hmm.
So you want to make sure that you have great film, and another aspect is that you want to have good grades because grades get you almost anywhere when it comes to the transfer portal. If you don't have the grades, they're not going to take you. I mean, that's just point blank period. So as long as you have good film showing that you can make plays and that you have good grades and you communicate, you reach out, you send your highlight tape through Twitter, you get people to repost. You have to do your part in order to get recruited. You can't just think, oh, I'm gonna put my film out there and it's gonna speak for itself. You have to now, be your own spokesperson. You have to go out and interview coaches and see what they have to offer, and go back and forth. That way, you can have the best opportunity.
Yeah. Alrighty. So what's next for you, Victor? After this interview, do you have? Are you going? Like I have to assume you're doing the pro day.
Yes, I am doing a pro day. I got one set up at Kennesaw State right now.
Okay. Where is that located?
It's like the middle of Georgia.
Middle of Georgia. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Valdosta is South Georgia. I think we're only 15 minutes from Florida.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so just training for the pro day each and every day, getting better, putting on weight, lowering that 40 time,
Mhm.
working on drills.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all. That's all we have over here. Is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't covered?
I just want to thank you guys for reaching out. It's a great opportunity to have these interviews because I know, not a lot of kids get, interviews after the season. You get them during the season, but it kind of gets quiet after the season once the senior bowls are done and, you're just training. So it's good to just talk football, talk about life, and talk about how you can impact others and grow. So I appreciate you guys giving me this platform to talk about me, my family, and then I also learned a little bit about you as well.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I mean, yeah, appreciate you coming on. We just really wanted to reach out to a lot of players and just kind of like this is all new to us, really. Before we started this series, we were just kind of getting locals around, Niagara Falls and Buffalo, and just trying to, get our feet wet with the podcast business because we've only been in it since June. So me and Nico really decided to sit down and what it was one way we can really like reach out to people and have kind of like a win-win situation for both sides. So we also both sides are getting exposure. We're trying to help you get drafted and put your name out there and all that. And then also by you coming on the show, it helps us out a lot because having somebody that is declaring for the NFL draft and as a collegiate athlete. It's anything like that is big for us. So yeah, we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I appreciate you guys because this is it's something that's now with the new era. Everybody's, trying to get their platforms and speak, and, podcasts have really taken off. So I was happy when you guys reached out because it's just another opportunity for each other to, communicate from different parts of the United States as well.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, that's everything we have today for you, Victor. I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, we'll be in touch as the process goes on. We'll see any updates. We'll be in touch. We'll message you on Instagram. We're gonna have some more content as well. We're gonna put together some reels from this interview, and then also do a little bit more with your tape. Kind of do a little collaboration. And so that will be out. This interview will be out tomorrow. So to whoever you want to show it to, family, friends, teammates. But yeah, it'll be available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Should be going tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. All right. And that's all we have. Yeah, thank you for coming on. Sorry for the delay. But yeah, appreciate you coming on. And yeah, we'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.